my name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and this is Chaotic Riffs Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriffs.com. Our special guest tonight is Pretty Boy Floyd guitarist Kristy Majors. How are you doing tonight, Kristy?
I'm doing great, thanks, Jason.
And like a lot of your fans, I'm just loving the new album. Now, I know last time I talked to you, this is something that's been in the works for a while. How's it feel to finally get the album out?
It feels great. I mean, it was like a 5-year process.
Yeah. So what's been the response to this? Because I think it's pretty cool that I know December 1st the album came out, and it's the same day that you guys did a great headlining show at the Whiskey in LA, your hometown.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
What was that like?
We play the Whiskey like once a year, and I actually prefer not to play shows in the hometown. But it's always like a lot of stress. Everybody like, guest list this, that, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But hey, look, I love playing the Whiskey. It's a legendary place, and it's a good time once all the stress appears. Disappears. I'm sorry, but the response on the record, I think, has been really great. Actually, it's because we did something that was kind of like uncool. We made a
new record. Yeah.
We made an 80s record that sounds exactly like an 80s record in 2017 or 2018, and we're getting praised for it, sounding like an 80s record, like you're in a time warp. And so I don't know.
That's one thing I've always dug about you guys, is that you stay really true to what the band's always been about. I mean, I know you and Steve Summers are the two remaining original members, but like you said, you put on this new album. It sounds like a Pretty Boy Floyd album. Sounds like something from the 80s. And I dig the fact that, you didn't go all modern on us, and you guys stayed pretty true to what you're all about,
Yeah, I mean, we could have. I mean, obviously, we've tried, some little modern stuff with, an EP, that we no longer, even sell over. Do we even play any of the songs from?
Yeah.
But, we tried it, and I've seen other bands try it, and it was just a fail. So, we worked really hard on trying to make this sound like, like you were in a time warp and like it belonged in 1988, 89. And it was. I got to tell you, it was difficult to try and, obviously as you're older, you want to do something a little bit more. You have current, guitar sounds that you want to get. You have, the different things. You want to change the lyric content to be a little bit more, relevant with the times and stuff.
Yeah.
But we were just like, no, let's not do that.
And even you guys even kept like your 80s look. I mean, you guys are really still all glammed out, which I really dig, because when you go to a rock show, at least me, like if you want to if you just want to stay home listening to a record, you can do that. But I did go into a show where the band's all glammed out, and you guys are really put on the ultimate rock show.
We try. I mean, obviously, we're not Kiss or we don't have a budget
to do that.
put on the show. If we did, it would be very dangerous if we could do that. But we do the best that we can, and obviously, we haven't changed. We haven't taken off, our makeup. We haven't, we still, dress the same. Obviously, a few pounds heavier here and there. But we remain true to ourselves. We don't take our makeup off. We don't cut our hair, and and in hindsight, it's all about, this is what the fans want. This is what people want from Pretty Boy Floyd, and without the fans liking our music or buying our music or coming to our shows, we wouldn't have any fans.
Yeah,
so,
and I dig the fact too, with getting not just a new album, a new studio album worth of music, but fans are really getting their money's worth with this. I mean, we get not just like 8 or 9 new tracks, we get 14 new tracks. That's pretty cool.
Well, we had to do 14 tracks because most of our songs are like 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
we're kind of like the
Ramones.
Yeah, we're like the glam rock Ramones, you know. So if we would have, our first album when we put it out, only had 10 songs on it. I think it came in under 30 minutes, which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think the only other record that came out in the 80s that was like maybe like Diver Down or something. But yeah, we really wanted to, we had a lot of material, and we wanted to give the fans their money's worth for, buying a record for whatever, $12 or whatever it is coming out to now.
Yeah. And what was the writing process? I know, like you said, this has been a project you guys have been working on over the last 5 years, but is this any older material that you'd been laying around for a few years, or did you write all of this when, like, you and Steve got back together, I guess, about 5 years ago?
A lot of it was like stuff that was like, there might have been some like old demos flying around. Like there was like an old demo of We Can't Bring Back Yesterday, and at one point it was called Summer Love.
Okay.
It's the same exact song as Summer Love, and that was on the Porn Stars record. The lyrics were changed, by a really cool songwriter named Todd Meager, who was working with a lot of bands in the 80s and stuff. Come in and kind of like, fix up a song and try and make it a hit. So a lot of the songs, there was like riffs and ideas and drum machines and little beats and stuff like that lying around and everything. And it was a matter of taking, and some of the songs, obviously, we had recorded in 2012, and there was a little like EP that we brought, a limited edition EP that we had brought on the road with us when we were doing that America Rocks tour, and it had like Run for Your Life, and also like Shock the World and 7 Minutes in Heaven. Those were never like
officially, Yeah,
they were never officially recorded. They were on a live record that we had done.
Oh, okay.
They were on like the Live at the Pretty Ugly Club or Live at the Sunset Strip. We used to play these a lot, like even Feel the Heat. We had played in 1988. One time we had opened that song. We had played Guitarist, and we had opened up the set with that song. We played it one time live.
Wow, how cool is that? So for a lot of the fans, these are really new tunes. I mean, they've been kind of like in the vault, so to speak. But that's cool that you finally get a chance to get this stuff out to the fans.
And some of them were, just like I said, just like there was a little bits and pieces in there, and little bits and pieces in there, and then we were like, okay, let's put this all together, and just had like a little drum machine just going like, it had like no arrangement, no nothing, and just had like maybe some humming, like,
And now you mentioned the song "Run for Life," which, unless people check out the songwriting credit, might not realize that's a Nikki Sixx song, and I know it's an old unreleased Motley Crue song. How did you guys, first get a hold of that song?
We had it back in the days. I think when we had obviously the first record we recorded, "Toast to the Town," which was another unreleased Motley song. Yeah. So we followed that same. We wanted to follow the same direction as we did Leather Boys with, and we were like, okay, hey, you know what? Let's put another unreleased Motley Crue song on there. And obviously, we love all that old Motley stuff and everything. We were big fans of Motley. So this "Run for Your Life" song, a demo that was on I think it was a cassette tape that I had from back in like '88.
Wow, yeah.
88. It was called "Shout at the Demos."
Okay, wow, how cool is that? Yeah.
And I think it was like kind of like a song that they had worked up for "Shout at the Devil," but never made it.
Okay, now I know Motley Crue came a little before you guys, and you're obviously influenced by them. But did you guys ever cross paths with them or do any shows with them over the years?
Never played a show with Motley.
Okay.
Let's see. I've run into Nikki a few times, and Nikki, Nikki was a hero of mine back in the from when I first saw the Us Festival pictures. I think in like Circus Magazine or something like that.
Yeah, it takes you back. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously seeing the video first time for Live Wire, I just was like, whoa, what the hell is this? It's kind of like a reaction that I had, like when I saw when I first was introduced to Kiss.
Yeah.
And Alice Cooper and all those bands that were doing that theatrical kind of look and incorporating kind of like a Broadway sense into music.
Yeah, and Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper, he's a great guy. I mean, it amazed me. The guy's almost 70 years old and he's still doing it.
It's amazing, and you know what? And he still wears the makeup. He's still exactly the same. And to tell you the truth, look, it would be very easy for him to take off the makeup.
Yeah.
And just go up on stage. But hey, the fans want that makeup. They want that experience. They want that Alice Cooper experience that he started out with in the 70s and has never changed. Never changed. And maybe his music has changed bits here and there on different albums and stuff and everything. But as far as Alice Cooper, he has never changed, and he's always incorporated that theatrical.
Bringing the show.
Theatrics, Broadway, and I was always attracted to that growing up in New York City, and Kiss was one of those bands, and and look, if we had a budget, we were able to put on a show and travel with a road crew and do this for full-time living. Yeah, we'd be doing that as well.
I mean, you do what you can. You do what you can, Kristy. But the thing is, that's another thing I've always admired about you and your band is that you guys really wear your influences on your sleeve. I mean, I give you a perfect example. You talk about comparing you guys to the Ramones. I remember a number of years ago you put out a great it was a solo disc. You put out a great Ramones tribute, and that's something I really love. If people ever get a chance to, I don't know if they can still get it, but that's a great little thing you put out. Tipping your hat to the Ramones, and then I also love the CD Pretty Boy Floyd put out a couple of years ago, the Kiss tribute CD. Love it to death, or Kiss it to death.
Kiss stuff, yeah.
I mean, that was just that was really you guys. You could really hear the Kiss influence in those songs, and I really dug that because I'm a huge Kiss fan myself.
I loved. I've always loved like anthem rock. When it has those those big choruses and just big guitar riffs and stuff. And it's like I always loved that. And obviously the Kiss songwriting is obviously we're influenced by that. I mean, I don't think we sound like Kiss, but we incorporate that. I don't think anybody actually sounds like Kiss.
No.
I go back and listen to like their first 7 studio albums. Nobody sounds like Kiss, and that was one of the things that always stuck out to me was Kiss. I mean, just simple but iconic, memorable songs and guitar riffs that when you hear it, 1 or 2 times, it sticks in your head.
Yeah, and people will say the guys in Kiss aren't great musicians, but I'll tell you what, even though like Gene and Paul write the bulk of the stuff, like you said, they're great songs. I mean, think of how many Kiss songs you hear on a radio station every day. Those songs are being played 40 years after the fact, and they're still doing it. So, and talk about Alice Cooper. From what I understand, when Kiss first got together, their thing was, they were really into Alice. They thought, what? Instead of having just one guy in the band get made up, we're going to have 4 guys in the band, and then take it to the next level where you have 2 guys that do most of the singing and songwriting, but all 4 guys in the band could sing. And that's another thing I always dug about the band,
Right. You know what? I got to tell you, one of the great things I think about Kiss was that, I think that during like maybe up until Destroyer and until Beth came out, the band never got played on the radio.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But they were selling out arenas every place they played. So that was just a testament to, how great of a band they were and how great their songs were. But radio wouldn't touch them because they were considered a joke.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that, the story I heard about that is, going back to Destroyer, Detroit Rock City was released as a single, but outside of Detroit, nobody would play that. And then they just started playing Beth, and that kind of just it took it to the next level, which is amazing.
And that's crazy too, because I think at one point, when they were doing that Destroyer record, I think Paul originally wrote that song with somebody else. I'm not sure who he wrote it with, maybe Ezrin, and for for some reason they thought Peter's voice sounded better on it, so they put Peter's voice on it. But I love bands like that. Like bands like Iron Maiden and bands like Kiss, and really AC/DC didn't start getting played on the radio until the Back in Black record.
Yeah, that's amazing too.
Yeah, I love bands like that. They find an audience without radio influencing. Oh, this is cool, or giving it like the thumbs up, like, oh, hey, you know what, you can listen to this, it's cool, or hey, you can go see the show, it's cool. And Pretty Boy Floyd has always been kind of like one of those type of bands, we're more of a word of mouth street type of band.
Yeah.
And more of like a cult kind of classic. Obviously, we've never achieved the success of the bands that we admire and stuff, but I'm fine with being that underground, unsung kind of hero type of band, and obviously still grateful that we still have fans, 20 something years later.
Yeah. I kind of equivalent to like LA Guns. Like I've heard Tracy Guns over years say, LA Guns never like reached a level of what like say Guns N' Roses did, but we're proud to be like the little black dot that the band that's been out there all these years still doing it. We still got our fans behind us.
I love LA Guns. I love the last record they put out. It's like I kind of like when I kind of compare like people putting out new records and who are staying true to themselves. There's a few of them out there that have really done that. And LA Guns staying true to themselves, staying true to their look, and staying true to their sound. The Last Vein record, obviously, same thing, and I think the Pretty Boy Floyd record accomplished that. And I'm glad to see that there's bands actually, making records, and not trying to be current with the times, and just saying, what, this is what we are, this is what we do, like it or hate it.
Yeah, and like you said, even you guys have tried to kind of change your sound on a couple of your releases, but it really didn't work. And so I think the new album really just proves that stay true to what you are, and fans are going to love it. Now, I know you guys, this came out on Frontiers Records. I was curious, did the label reach out to you guys, or did you like send them the demos for this, and did they respond? What was the deal with that?
I got to give props to Frontiers. Frontiers went out there and they went actively looking to sign a lot of these bands like Jet Boy and Junkyard and LA Guns and Pretty Boy Floyd and Babylon AD and all that stuff. And they realized that there's still an audience out there, and there's people out there who want to buy this music. But it's up to the bands, obviously, to make a great sounding record, a great record. And keep this music alive and keep it going, And so Frontiers, actively went out there and searched for bands to sign. And we obviously we went through the process of giving them a couple of demos, and they said, make the record sound like this, and we're good. And
I was curious, like the deal you guys signed, was it for more than one album, or does it kind of depend on how this one sells?
It's a 2-album deal, so we're looking forward to doing another record. I think I got another Pretty Boy Floyd record in me.
Oh, that's cool. And
so and if we do it, we're just going to do the same thing.
That's great. And now of course the band's got you and Steve Summers in it, the 2 core original members. Now talk about the other guys. I know you got Ben Graves. He was previously with Misfits, and I know the bass player is
Murder Dolls.
Oh, Murder Dolls, okay. And then you got J.K. Famous. He's a bass player these days.
J.K. Famous has been a friend of mine. I've known him since I was 16 years old back in New York City. He was actually a drummer back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he moved out to L.A., I think, roughly around the same time that I did, And J.K.'s been playing in and out of Pretty Boy Floyd for, I don't know, maybe, like about 12 years or so.
Yeah.
Maybe even longer, And obviously, when me and Steve got back together, a few times, obviously means, we've gotten back together, we've broken up, we've gotten back together, we've broken up. Whenever, we got back together, we always extended that olive branch. Kenny Chaz, rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Vinny just was never interested. So, when you have a band member that's just not interested in playing, you got to move on.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, well, this is it. We can't get, and obviously the olive branch was always extended out to Kerry King as well. And, Kerry came back for, I think like about a year and a half or 2 years of touring and stuff. And then, he was just like, I'm done. I just don't dig this. I don't dig this lifestyle. And I have no interest in playing these songs. And so you got to move on. It's like Kiss.
Yeah.
When you have guys that just like are like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not interested. You got to move on. And the hard part is, I'll tell you, it's hard to find someone to fit into the Pretty Boy Floyd mold, because we got to find someone, one that we get along with, and that you can be around, for lengthy periods of time without them getting on your nerves.
Yeah.
Also, I would like for them to be able to play, which is
that's a key element there. Yeah.
Which would be great. And then they got to fit into the mold and the image, And J.K. fit in great. Ben fit in amazing. Actually, Ben's like probably the best drummer that I've ever played with in my entire life out of anything that I've ever done.
Wow.
It really just does. And obviously, playing with the Murder Dolls and Joey Jordison doing all those drum tracks, I think on the first Murder Dolls record, I think Ben, is that's a testament to how good of a drummer Ben is, if he can pretty much copy Joey Jordison's drum tracks,
Yeah, so it's pretty good that you guys finally kind of got a pretty stable lineup in the last few years, huh?
It's been hard, because you get these band members, that are like, they come in and they go, yeah, I'm into it, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden they get offered some other gig that maybe, somebody works a little bit more work. So, Pretty Boy Floyd is not a full-time job. It's not a full-time gig. And, if we're only playing, 20, 25 shows a year, that's not enough for somebody to make a living. And if they get another tour, for more money and stuff like that, and they're a hired gun and they're not an actual band member, they move on. And, what are you going to do, It's just it's the way of the business, But we always try and keep the same, at least core members, and we've been doing that with me, Steve, and J.K. We've had some revolving drummers and stuff, but we've been trying to keep that core front three up front intact. This way people know that when they come to a Pretty Boy Floyd show, who's going to be there.
Yeah, and I'd imagine. After you and Steve got back together like 5 years ago, you guys must realize, after all these years of playing together, we got a pretty good chemistry as far as writing these songs and stuff.
Me and Steve didn't talk. We literally got into a fist fight in 2012.
Yeah.
And talked for I think about 3.5 years. And when Steve came back, and we went publicly live with our feud, which was a humongous mistake. Humongous mistake when I look back at it in hindsight. So when me and Steve got back together and we talked about it, we basically said, hey, look, you can't do this without me. I can't do this without you. We can, but it's just, it's better when we do it together.
That's the point I was trying to make. It's funny that people often say, like, you look at somebody like Joe Perry, Steven Tyler. People say, that friction kind of, it makes for creation of great music, I guess.
It's a love-hate relationship that just like it kind of works. And me and Steve have known each other for 30 freaking years. It's just like, God damn it, we're brothers. Yeah, we're gonna fight. But we made a pact this time that we said, hey, if we get to, if we're gonna fight or argue, we are definitely not going to
do it.
Post it on Facebook or anything like that. And, we'll work out our differences. And and as we've gotten older, now that we're 50 years old, we just turned 50.
Wow. Well, you guys still got the great rock look for being that old. You sure don't look it, but wow.
It's funny. I think Steve turned 50. I'm going to be 50 in a few weeks, and I attest the reason why we don't, that we still kind of look young, is because we never achieved that level of success where we had expendable amounts of money to do drugs and alcohol and be on tour for many years of just abusing ourselves. So living on $5 a day per diem is not enough to go out there and score drugs,
Yeah, so like you said, Pretty Boy Floyd's not like a full-time job, so to speak, because you guys do about 20 to 25 shows. So what are you doing like when you're not doing Pretty Boy Floyd, like in your downtime?
I have a company that I've had for 20 years called Artists Worldwide.
Oh, okay, wow. Oh, so that's your company. I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah.
My agency I've had for 20 years. Obviously, even though I haven't been, I don't, there was times when I haven't been doing Pretty Boy Floyd. I always stayed in the music industry. I went and, after, I think in 92, I went and got a paralegal degree, and I started working for our attorney that worked for Pretty Boy Floyd, and then he brought me over to RED Relativity.
Wow.
Yeah. And when he started working over there, so I did that for like 7 years, and then I opened up Artists Worldwide. It's been 20 years, and we have over 60 artists that we book, and that we give the personal attention to, that are great acts, and that they wouldn't get if they were over at a William Morris or an ICM or a bigger agency or something like that. But they're still viable acts, and everything I've done has revolved around music, and in my entire life.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Do you think, being that you're a professional musician yourself, that makes it that much easier for you to work with these bands, being that you've been on kind of both sides of the table, so you know what it's like to be an artist?
I know what it's completely like to go out on the road and your bus is breaking down. You're pulling up to a venue and the promoter is trying not to pay you or something.
Yeah.
Or, I can relate to all that kind of stuff. But as opposed to some guy sitting behind a desk, who's been a frustrated musician his whole entire life in a suit and tie and has never done it before. I've been there. I know what it's like. I can relate. I'll take the phone calls 24 hours a day, and I'll solve the problems.
Yeah. Now, I know the band Pretty Boy Floyd was named after an old movie. I was curious. Did you ever see the film yourself?
It wasn't named after an old movie. It was actually named after a gangster.
Oh, a gangster. Okay. I didn't realize that. Wow.
Okay. Arthur Pretty Boy Floyd.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I didn't. And is that kind of what the?
Which is how we came up with the album title. Which is how I came up with the album title for this Public Enemies. Was that I couldn't think of an album title, and I was like scrolling through some movies that I had, and Public Enemies came on with Johnny Depp in it. And the first 5 minutes of the movie, Pretty Boy Floyd gets gunned down in Oklahoma, shot in the back.
Oh, wow.
5 minutes. Actually, it's pretty funny. Channing Tatum plays Pretty Boy Floyd for that first, for that whatever he's in the movie for 30 seconds, and Christian Bale is the detective who actually shot him.
Oh, wow. And so the album cover, that's what this is based off. I was curious that the little character skeleton thing on the cover. Did you design that, or who created the album cover?
That was this guy Cam. In about 2011, 2012, when we were talking about putting out a new record, I hired a guy to. I told him, I said, I want to do this kind of like a painting of like a gangster skeleton, guy with guns and stuff like that and everything, wearing like a pinstripe suit and a hat and everything. And that's what he came up with, and when he painted it and scanned it and sent it to me, I was like, yeah, that's pretty badass.
And as far as the new album, I was curious, how many of the new songs have you guys been playing live since this came out?
Well, we've only done that one show, so
that was it. Yeah,
that's all we've done. We were waiting for the new record to come out, before we started, booking shows. So this year we plan on playing a lot of songs. At the Whiskey Show, we only played 2 of the songs, but we plan on playing probably about 6 of them off of the new record, depending on, obviously, the shows that we're playing and how much time we have to play.
And so, like, I guess you guys are in the process of booking shows now, but is the plan like to play a lot of the big summer festivals, or are you going to try to do as many of these shows as you can?
Yeah, we're doing the Frontiers Festival that they have in Italy.
Okay, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So they asked us to come be a part of it. It's with Striper and Jack Russell and a bunch of cool bands that are just all Frontier bands in Italy. So we're going to do that, and then there's another festival, M3. We're going to be doing in May.
Wow.
We're doing Rock and Skull Festival.
Oh, cool! You guys are getting some pretty big shows. That's great for the band.
Yeah, so we just started gearing up and just started booking stuff for 2018, and obviously there's some stuff that I can't even announce yet because it's not even announced. But
I hear you. Well, that's good to know that there are going to be plenty of Pretty Boy Floyd shows on the horizon for 2018. Now, it must be great having this new album because you guys haven't had any new music out in a number of years. So that's great that the fans probably got some new music here.
This is we put out like little bits and pieces here and there of stuff. Nothing was ever a true follow-up to The Boys of Electric Toys. So this is the record I think fans have been waiting for and the fans have wanted. And from the reaction that I've been getting from people on Facebook and social media, it seems to have translated really well to the fans, and I'm grateful that they're supporting this record, and it's a nice feeling after all these years.
Yeah, that's kind of the point I was making, because I mean, I can't that Leather Boys that Leather Boys album. I mean, that's people still, when they think of Pretty Boy Floyd, that's the go-to album for them, and I know as a musician, it must be getting tired of playing the same songs over and over, and it's got to be great to finally got some new songs to add to the set list. But why do you think that album was the one that everybody just kind of that they react? Because I mean, it's almost 30 years, isn't it, after the fact that album came out?
Yeah, it's almost 89. So I was like, well, now we're moving into 28 years. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was because. One, it was kind of like a different sounding record than what everybody else was putting out in the 80s, especially towards that late 80s sound. It had like a different sound to it. It had those. I don't know. It's kind of like I always kind of compare it to like a cult B movie or something like that, Yeah,
I almost dare say, like, you take this as a compliment, because being the Kiss fan that I know you are, I almost compare it to something like Destroyer, for the simple fact that they're all really well-written songs, and if, like we said, it's almost 28 years after the fact, and those songs still resonate with people just because you put them on and you can tell that these are songs that were written performed by these guys, really coming from the heart, and you didn't go in there and try to be anything that you weren't. And I really think that's the reason that these songs still stand out 28 years, later.
It was just it's just entertainment. That's what it is. That's what Pretty Boy Floyd was always about. It's just like, we're just about pure entertainment. We're not trying to make a statement, or we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. We're just trying to entertain people with our music. We're trying to give a good positive message to everybody, and just forget your problems when you listen to a Pretty Boy Floyd record. And it's funny that you mentioned the Destroyer record, because when it came time for the album cover, when we were designing the album cover for the Pretty Boy Floyd Leather Boys Electric Toys record, I brought the album to the art director, and I said, I want this.
Wow.
And because that album cover, obviously a lot of the Kiss album covers are always iconic to me, and I miss record stores and being able to go into record stores. I remember buying records just because I loved the album cover.
I mean, that is so true. I mean, I'm an old school guy like you in that respect. That a lot of the kids today, they don't even know what a record, let alone a record store is. And like you said, I mean, being a Kiss fan, I remember even like when Number of a Beast came out, I knowing nothing about who Iron Maiden were back then. I said, you know what, this is such a cool looking album cover. I got to get that record. And I mean, going back to like Kiss Alive 1. You remember getting that double album? I mean, opening it up and wow, they just don't do stuff like that these days.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, when people take the time to make these iconic artwork album covers, like obviously Iron Maiden has done it on every single freaking record, but there was a lot of bands that just made great album covers, and it was great going into a record store and just like literally picking up a record just because you were like, wow, this has got to be killer, and hopefully it was killer and you brought it home. And most of the time it was. Yeah, and
I mean, that's why I really got to thank you guys for being a band that continues to put out new music, because, music business to me, what it is, a lot of these bands are just, you know what, we're not going to release any new music, we're just going to live off our, which, you can kind of understand, because that's kind of the way they make their money these days, but I dig the fact that, and I like you said, I love the fact that as I'm talking to you, I'm holding your CD in my hand, looking at it, looking at the cool album cover. I love to read the songwriting credits and, who produced it and all that. So I think it's cool that you guys are still putting out physical copies of your CDs.
Well, it was also, we put it out on vinyl too, and that was one of my things that I had with Frontiers. I'm like, hey, you got to put this out on vinyl, because... and we wanted to make, kind of like an album cover, and I kind of was like thinking like in the minds of like, I had this idea of like Iron Maiden meets Unmasked.
Wow. Well, you kind of accomplished that, and it's really just a great overall. Now I know you guys did a video for the song "Feel the Heat." I was curious. What was that experience like filming that? I imagine it was an all-day thing, but talk a little bit about your decision to pick that track for the first video.
It was actually Frontiers' idea. They said that they wanted that song for the video. So we didn't think it was the strongest song on the album, but we were like, okay, it's a cool song. Let's make like an old school video with a little bit of a modern twist, and we had a hard time finding a director who kind of shared the same vision of what we wanted to try and do. And it was actually kind of funny because I had this idea stealing another thing from Motley Crue with the Primal Scream video. It's a very dark video, but then there's like spotlight that kind of like shines over them in certain places and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I kind of want to do something like that, make it like kind of dark and have like a spotlight just like kind of like hitting us in certain places and certain things and everything, and so we finally found Matt Zane, who had directed, I think he's done every John 5 video.
Wow.
He did a bunch of Wednesday 13 videos and a bunch of other videos, and he was just great to work with, and when I got the first edit, like literally, I didn't even have a comment.
And so, talk a little bit about the response you guys got once you posted that video online. I mean, everything I seen, the fans were kind of just responding really positive to it.
They like it, they like the video, and we plan on making a couple more. So we're hoping to shoot one in the next month or so for another song, and then keep it going. Hopefully do maybe 2 more for the video and stuff. And obviously, we'll try and come up with different concepts and everything. I mean, the vision. Obviously, we're on budgets. I mean,
yeah. You do what you can, but it's amazing. I mean, even the video, to me, it looks like a professional video you'd see like on MTV back in the day.
Yeah, well, okay. that's great. Considering that we only spent a couple $1,000s making the video, that's great.
Yeah.
Especially when those first videos that we did. Actually, when I think back at it, and I think the first video that we did for MCA, I think that video budget was like $170,000. That's just literally insane.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even though you guys are on a budget, it's amazing that you can make a record this good. It's it's amazing that you can make a video, get such positive feedback with not as much money as you had back in the day. But the fans are still loving it, and so I think that just says something about the band. That you guys put out quality music for your fans.
Yeah, we tried to make every quality on this record, including the album cover, and I went to Cameron Webb for mixing this, and I actually went over budget actually recording this record because I wanted to bring Cameron Webb in to mix it. Who's done. His credits are like literally outrageous, from like Pennywise to Bad Religion to Megadeth.
Wow. He's all over the map. And I love it too, the title, Public Enemies. When I saw that, I thought myself a little bit of a Motley Crue influence, because one of the first Motley Crue songs I really hooked onto was Public Enemy #1, going back to Too Fast for Love. And you hear that in all kinds of movies and things these days. I mean, on
this record, the Public Enemies title was kind of like a double entendre. I looked at it as like, okay, Pretty Boy Floyd, Public Enemies, yeah, okay, he was a gangster.
Yeah.
In the 50s, Charles Alter, Pretty Boy Floyd, and so it tied into that, but also Public Enemies because Pretty Boy Floyd has been one of those bands that has always been kind of like, shunned by the public, and thought of as like a joke band, and so it was kind of like a double meaning, it was like people love to talk shit about Pretty Boy Floyd as well, so the album title just resonated with me.
And you mentioned that you guys are going to play the Frontiers Festival in Italy. Have you been to Europe before, or is this the first time you guys are getting over there?
Oh no, we've been over there several times, 6, 7 times now, 8 times. I can't even remember. Yeah, we've done everywhere. We've done the UK, Belgium, France, Spain, Italy, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. Yeah, we played like literally almost everywhere over there.
And do you find that when you guys go to these other countries that sometimes you're more popular in these other countries than you are here, in Los Angeles, where you're from? And the reason I ask that is because I know a lot of the European countries, they got a real love for their hard rock and metal bands.
It's a completely different world when you go over there and you play. I don't know how to compare it, but all you got to do is just think about this. They have festivals over in Europe and Japan and Australia where people show up like there's 500,000 people at them. Name one festival that we have here in the United States. And these festivals have been going on not for just a few years. These festivals they've had them for 20 plus years, 30 years.
Yeah, I mean the closest thing to a festival here was, I think, that Cat House Live show you guys did a couple of years back.
Well, yeah, the Hair Nation and the Cat House Live thing, but that's like 10,000 people. That's
one day,
nothing.
yeah.
The love for music over in these other countries is completely different, and the support is completely different than it is here in the United States. I don't know what to attest to it. I don't know what it is, but they love music over there. Maybe it's because you're not from there.
Yeah.
You're not going to be there all the time, and they come and they see you and they have a good time. They forget about their whatever's going on in their life for the few hours that you're on stage, and they just have a great time. Over here, it's a different story. But to tell you the truth, Pretty Boy Floyd doesn't really tour that much. So if we happen to come through your area, it might be the only time that you're going to be able to like really catch Pretty Boy Floyd. So we do that for a specific reason as well too. Is we try to make it special when a Pretty Boy Floyd is playing a show or playing somewhere and it's not going to be like, oh, you know what, we'll just see them in 6 months. They'll be through here again. Well, that's not the case.
Yeah, and I think that's why. I mean, just looking at photos that you guys posted on Facebook from that December 1st show. I mean, it looked like the place was packed, and that's probably a huge reason why. Because, like you said, Pretty Boy Floyd doesn't come in, into LA every 6 months, so that seems to be working for you guys.
Yeah, we play LA like maybe once a year. We're lucky if we go through other cities and play them once a year. It might be once every couple of years, and especially Europe, it might be like maybe once every 3 to 5 years or something.
Oh, wow, that's a real special event.
We try to make it like pretty special when we can see it, and it's pretty. It's pretty funny. Just yesterday, I just posted on Facebook. Some girl sent it to me. And showed me the charts in Japan, and we entered the charts in Japan at number 40.
Wow! And I was curious, do you know what the album has hit the charts? Anything here, like as far as the hard rock charts or anything?
I don't know. I don't know if it hit. I know there was. I know there was an issue with. They ran out of stock.
Well, that's a good sign. So, wow.
There was a lot of people writing me going, hey, I ordered the CD and I ordered the vinyl and I ordered it on Amazon. It said it was going to come in this date and I still haven't gotten it, and blah, blah, blah. So I think, maybe Frontier's underestimated,
the demand. Yeah, wow, that's a good sign. Wow.
So maybe if I don't know if we charted, I don't know if we had heat seekers or anything like that, but I think the problem, if we didn't, was only because there wasn't enough product out there to ship in time.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I was curious. The previous Pretty Boy Floyd.
I got to tell you another thing too. The same thing happened with the LA Guns record.
Wow.
People ordered it and waited a month, and I think they underestimated the same thing when they did the LA Guns record. So it just goes to show you, if you put out good music and you put out quality stuff,
It'll sell.
People will buy it. People will buy it.
Now, I was curious, mentioning LA Guns, have you guys ever done any shows with them? Because I think that would be a great tour. Pretty Boy Floyd and LA Guns. I could really see a tour of that.
Oh, you know what? Back in 1990, we were dead in the water with MCA Records. MCA was pretty much done with us, and thank God I was friends with Tracy and Phil, and their Ballad of Jane was cranking up the charts, and I think their record had just gone gold, and they were going out there and doing their own headlining tour.
Wow.
And thank God Tracy and Phil gave us the opportunity to come on and do that tour, and we went out and did that tour, and that's when we finally charted on Billboard, and we started selling records. And then the record label was like, oh my God, we need to do another video, blah, blah, blah. And that's when we did the I Want to Be With You video, But before that, we were dead in the water. And I thank LA Guns for bringing us out there. And we were playing, to 3,000 to 5,000 people every single night. In fact, one of the places that we played that was one of my most iconic shows to this day was when we played with them at this place called the Sandstone in Kansas City. And I think there was over 30,000 people there with an amazing night.
Wow, that's amazing. Now I was curious, Kristy, any chance that you guys will release any older Pretty Boy Floyd releases on Frontiers?
Older releases, obviously the Porn Stars record was kind of like a re-record with some newer tracks on there.
Okay.
So that's nothing that we have any interest in doing anything. There's a few songs that we play on that record that I feel that we didn't capture the real essence of that record.
Yeah.
The true Pretty Boy Floyd song on that record that we would like to record over again, and we probably will.
Okay.
Then obviously, Tonight Belongs to the Young. There's a few songs on that I'd like to re-record and give it the right treatment, the right Pretty Boy Floyd treatment. So that'll be something maybe down the road. I don't know, maybe when we put out like I don't want to call it a greatest hits record, but because obviously we've had no hits. out some sort of like,
compilation, yeah.
Compilation of of our best stuff. You think we'll probably re-record a few of those songs that I know some of the fans want a better quality version of, and probably some newer ones or something on that. So like I said, I think there's there might be a good 2 or 3 more pre-Floyd releases in us that will come out.
Okay, and speaking of compilations, a couple of the ones you put out a couple of years ago, like there was one Vault 1 and Vault 2, like a bunch of unreleased stuff. That was pretty cool.
Those are just some old demos lying around, and actually, that was a time when I wasn't really even thinking about doing Pretty Boy Floyd anymore. Steve was still doing Pretty Boy Floyd, and he wanted some product to go out there. Obviously, I was still involved with booking some Pretty Boy Floyd stuff, even though I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
I was focusing on when I had just started the company, with Artists for What. And, Steve needed some sort of new product to go out there and sell. Looking back in hindsight, it was probably a mistake to put out some demos.
Uh-huh.
But anyway,
Well, I think, even like being the Kiss fan that you are, I've gotten my hands on a bunch of unreleased, like, Kiss demos over years. It's just a cool thing for fans to have,
Yeah, it's kind of like a cool thing, I guess. You can hear some like raw demos and how hear some original versions of how they sounded before they got the full treatment and stuff like that. But it's a cool collector's thing for the diehard fans.
Yeah, because what I wanted to ask you about too, regarding those releases, on one of them there was a song you guys did called Slam Dunk, which I think was a song written by Kevin Dubrow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool tune. What do you remember about working with him?
That was actually a song that we recorded for a movie soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
That was in a movie called with Jimmy Smits and Alan Barkin. I forget the name of the movie.
Yeah, we could look. I could look that up later, I'm sure.
Yeah, I forget the name of the movie, but it was for the scene where they were playing basketball, and the song was given to us by MCA, and they said, "Hey, we want you to record the song for this soundtrack." And actually, MCA was pretty good about that because our demo for Karate Kid, our demo for 48 Hours to Rock was in the Karate Kid Part 3.
Oh wow!
So, that was pretty cool. And then we got asked to do this Department of Youth, which we recorded for, which was an Alice Cooper song.
Yeah, of course. I was going to ask you about that. Funny that you brought that up because I really love the version you guys put out of that.
Yeah, that was, we got asked to do that for the Wes Craven movie, Shocker.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We were in the liner notes and everything, and we got paid for it and everything, but Megadeth came around last minute and decided to do No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Wow.
And so they had that on there, and they were like, well, we don't want another Alice Cooper song on there, so you guys are off the record.
Wow.
but when the record came out, we're in the liner notes and everything, but the song's not on the record.
that's amazing, and that's amazing. Wow.
But working with, but back to the Kevin Dubrow thing, that song was handed to us. I think you can find their version online on YouTube. Somebody sent it to me not too long ago. But the coolest thing about that song was actually we did it with Max Norman.
Ozzy Osbourne, yeah. Wow, Megadeth, yeah.
Yeah, he did those Ozzy records, and I kept on grinding him, asking him like, how'd you get that Randy Rhoads guitar sound, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
He didn't really have an answer for any of that, but working with Max was great. And actually, I think that was one of the best sounding recordings that we had done.
Wow.
And it was we did it in like literally 24 hours. I think it was like 48 hours completely mixed and mastered.
Wow.
And it was just great working with them, and everybody was prepared, and working with Max was great. And I wish I would have known Max was such a great producer and great mixer back then. But yeah.
Yeah, and talking about Kevin for a minute, it kind of amazes me that this past November was like the 10th anniversary of his death. I got to ask you, how surprised were you when you heard that he had passed away?
I was really surprised about it because, I was working with Kevin when I did this thing called Voices of Metal.
Okay.
We booked this tour, and it had, I think, Kevin, I think it had Don Dawkins and somebody else. And I think it was called like Voices of Metal. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like a tour where, you had like 3 iconic singers from that time that were out there just, playing their, their best material. And they were all together doing a tour with like a backing band.
Okay.
And, Kevin was a pleasure to work with. He was just like, I had known Kevin, had dabbled in some, maybe had some drug problems, or, maybe some people said he was difficult or this and that, But I can't say enough great things about Kevin. I thought Kevin was a smart guy, and I thought he was like super cool, and never had any rock star issues with him whatsoever. And actually, I thought he was looking great. He was healthy. He was fit. His voice sounded amazing. And I was pretty shocked when that actually happened.
Yeah, because a lot of people I've talked to, they said he kept his because they thought he was over his drug habit. They said he hit it really well. But what a huge loss to the rock world. I mean, the guy was a huge talent. So, but we got all that great Quiet Riot music, now.
When we all die and we pass away, that's what I say to myself. I go, you know what? I'm going to be leaving behind a legacy of music, and at least I will still be here in some sense of the word.
Yeah, and a very last, before we wrap this up, the very last thing I want to ask you is, I think you have a nice legacy here with your Pretty Boy Floyd band. You guys put out some great music, but you also put out a nice little stamp of as far as solo music. I was curious. I know Pretty Boy Floyd's your main thing these days, but any chance we'll be getting a new Kristy Majors solo CD down the line?
Well, yeah. Actually, I'm working. I was working on one, and I put it on the back burner to finish the Pretty Boy Floyd record. But it's all done except for me singing the vocals and getting the vocals done. So I'm going to do that. And then me and Steve's got some songs that he was working on. So we were talking about doing this record. We were going to call it like S&M, like Summers and Majors.
Oh, cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And it was going to be like 6 songs that Steve has, and then 6 songs that I have, and just kind of put them together, kind of like if you put Gene and Paul's solo records, but you only took half of the songs.
Yeah.
Put them together and called it like Stanley and Simmons or something like that,
Yeah,
But like I said, there's some good music in us. Steve still has his. Steve can still sing great. Still has his voice. Sounds on the record. I think he still sounds exactly like the Leather Boys record. And we're fortunate enough to have a singer that can actually still sing. And I don't know if people really realize it, but it's a lot of those songs are really in a high register. So I got to hand it to Steve to still be able to sing that stuff and still have his voice.
Yeah, I was curious if you ever got a chance to check out those records he did with Stevie Rochelle with the band Shameless.
You know what? I mean, I played on, I think, one of them. I think I played it took me 20 minutes to do 2 guitar solos.
Yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with Alex.
Oh, okay. I hear you. Okay, well, we'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Because it's like when when me and Steve are working together, he's like, hey, he's like, he's all good, but if I'm not working with him more, he's just like, you're an asshole, you're a dick, you're this, you're that. I'm just like,
whatever. Okay. I guess people should keep out of other people's business. But, and then the very last thing I want to ask you, you're talking about you working on a new solo CD. I think you got a great singing voice. Did you always feel you had the ability to sing, or did you kind of just do it out of necessity? And, and I guess my question is, how comfortable are you in your ability as a lead singer?
Not at all. actually. It's very taxing for me to sing in the studio. I really have to prepare myself and focus, and I can make my voice sound pretty decent.
Yeah.
Recording, but live, it's a completely different story, man. It's like you realize, how you really have to really take care of your voice.
Yeah.
And, and how you have to sing properly live to not throw it out every night.
Yeah, and I guess that's the beauty about being a guitar player is that you can just get up on stage and do your thing.
You know what? It's a lot easier than singing. I got to tell you that much. And the funny thing is, like, well, even when we would go and do maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks over in Europe or something like that, Steve would be like completely silent on the like not even say a word and just lay down and sleep and relax and stuff like that. And I never knew why, but now I do.
Wow, yeah. Well, Kristy, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time to talk to me. I really enjoyed talking to you. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of what you guys do. So please keep in touch. I'll let you know when the interview gets posted. But anytime you have anything to promote, feel free to reach out to me because I'm a huge fan of everything you do.
Thanks, Jason. It's always a pleasure, man. I truly appreciate all the support that you give to Pretty Boy Floyd and to all this kind of music. I really do appreciate it.
Well, see, as you can tell, I'm a fan of this music, and so I've had a lot of people to ask me, "Oh, how come every time you post a review or something, it's all positive?" I'm like, I'd rather spread the love, and I'd rather talk about the bands that I love and the bands I hate, if you know what I mean. That's what it's all about.
You know what? I appreciate that because there's too much hate on the internet.
Yeah, it really is.
It's just like, it's easier to just say nothing at all than to act out there and actually write something or talk about how you hate something. You know what? In the world that we live in right now, it's just like, let's get rid of all this hate. Let's get rid of all this negativity, and let's be positive.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up with this. I really urge people who haven't had a chance to get the new Pretty Boy Floyd CD. We're talking about Public Enemies here. This came out December 2017, and it's a great album. And you put on any of these songs, and it's just like we're talking about those classic Kiss and Alice Cooper songs, really well-written songs. And you listen to any of these, it just takes me back to my teenage years. That's just great rock music.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, and I hope that people appreciate the time warp.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. Well, thanks again, Kristy, and we'll be in touch, and we'll do this again, I'm sure. But take care, my friend.
Great. Thank you, Jason. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.